I received a call from a friend inviting me and my daughter out to dinner. I thought, sure, why not? I hadn't seen her in a while, and it would be a good idea to break up the monotony of going from work to home every day. Besides, my husband decided to go out with a group of coworkers that night as well. Of course, me thinking like a mom and a wife, hey, I won't have to rush home to cook dinner. As we headed home, I asked my baby girl to text Dad to see if we needed to feed the dog when we get home. We had about a 20-minute drive, and we were almost home, and I asked my daughter, did your dad respond? She said no. She did not think anything of it at the time. I thought it was odd and unlike him. We made it home. I fed the dog and got ready for bed. I dozed off only to wake up around 10:30. He still wasn't home. I picked up my phone, no text. I had a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach, thinking I was going to throw up from this eerie sensation that hit me, like someone punched me in the stomach. I told myself, no, you're not going to think bad thoughts. Everything is okay. Just go back to sleep. He will be home soon. I finally fell asleep, only to be awakened by a loud, hard knock at my front door. I looked at the clock, 12:02 midnight. Who could that be? I jumped out of bed and ran to the door. The dog barked nonstop. I looked through the peephole and saw a police officer's car in the street. I saw a man at the door, but I couldn't make out his face, so I yelled, "Can I help you?" The officer stated his name and demanded I open the door. I cracked the door a tiny bit to tell the officer to give me a second to get dressed, and he agreed. I was only wearing a t-shirt at the time. The dog continued to bark, so I put him in his kennel. My heart was racing as to why the officer was at my house. I threw on a pair of sweatpants and opened the door. My heart felt like it was going to jump out of my chest. The officer confirmed my identity. "Are you the wife of Terrence Matthews?" I said yes. The officer asked, "Is anyone else in the house?" I said, "Yes, my daughter, she is sleeping." The officer said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. But your husband was involved in a car accident. He did not make it." I said, no, oh God, no, there must be a mistake. I kept shaking my head no as my screams got louder. The officer then said, "Don't scream, you will wake up your daughter." I again said to him, "There must be a mistake. You have him confused with someone else." The officer softly stated, "I'm sorry, he passed away." "Ma'am, you should have a seat. Is there anyone you can call to come sit with you?" All that came out of my mouth was, "No, there must be some mistake." I thought, this must be a mistake in identity. This can't be right. Then my legs turned into jelly and time began to blur. I sat in the living room recliner, staring from the floor to the people around me, feeling like this wasn't really happening. Days flew by. People came in and out of our home for the next few weeks. At first, it felt like he would come walking through the door any moment. Then I was dying on the inside, my heart breaking into pieces. I thought, what am I going to do now? I can't live my life without him in it. What is my daughter going to do without her father, her best friend? I did not have the answers. The questions only brought on more heartache. What am I going to do without my rock, my shoulder to cry on? He won't be here when Sierra brings home her first boyfriend. He would always tell her if she brought home a boyfriend, he would answer the door in his boxers, cowboy boots, and a gun to scare him off. Hoping the news would spread through the school to the other guys. Not to date Tamera, her dad is crazy. He wanted to run all the boys away from his baby girl. He won't be here for her first prom or to walk her down the aisle on her wedding day. Those huge milestones we all look forward to are forever changed. So many times I wished he would have stayed home that night. There are many days I wish time could stand still to allow me to take baby steps in moving forward without him. Instead, I feel like I have to hit the ground running to keep my family together. Only the days, months continue to fly by. I look up, it's been 1 month, 2 months, 3. I try to gather myself mentally, a day at a time, to be strong for my baby girl, but it's exhausting. When deep down, all I want to do is run away from it all and make it go away. I drove to Dallas alone for the first time one weekend just to have a mental break from everything going on around me. I rented a room and went to the mall for some shopping and a massage. Picked up dinner, went back to the hotel, and read a book to keep my mind off everything. I just want my family back. I want the 3 of us together at home, having dinner, watching old reruns of Martin. I often cry, asking God to give me the strength to move forward, to help me focus on taking care of the responsibilities that lie before me. I have to learn how to be the primary provider. And the hardest thing of all, a single mom after 15 years with no time to prepare. Here I am, 40 years old, alone with a 15-year-old daughter. Legally, I'm now labeled as a widow, a reality I did not see coming after living half my life with my husband. We'd made plans together for our daughter's future, for our future. Through the hardships, arguments, and joyful times, we always fought to keep our family together. I began to draw my strength from my faith to move forward, taking life one day at a time. In order to be a good mother and support my daughter, I have to set an example of strength and courage and not giving up on life because she needs me. That realization gave me hope that I can do this. Just take things one day at a time. I also knew deep down he would not want me to give up on living life. I slowly began putting pieces of my life back together, returning to work, making plans for my future over the next few months. A year ago, I could not see past the accident because my future plans involved the 3 of us. Don't get me wrong, I have days when I feel lost, lonely, and hurt. There are times I feel overwhelmed and I have to take a deep breath and make a to-do list to help me get through those moments. The pain gets to be a little less in the forefront of my mind, and the vice grip around my broken heart has loosened up. Immediately after the accident, you could not have told me I would be in this space today, finding my own way. I would not have believed you or even stopped crying long enough to listen. Driving home after work, my daughter grabs my hand and says, "I am so glad I have you as my mom. I love you so much." As she leans into my shoulder to hug my arm, I tear up and I tell her, "I love you too," while giving her a kiss on the top of the head. There is hope for me to find happiness again. By God's grace, I believe in my heart will be whole again.